How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? Omar here. Hope all is well in the world of you. Today we're going to be talking about the Boss Nextone Artist. If you want to jump right into the sound clips, I'll put a timestamp in the description below. But first, let's go over some of the features of the amp. This amp is an 80-watt modeling amp that comes with a single 12-inch speaker. With modeling amp technology, we're able to pack a bunch of different sounds that are digitally recreated into one amp. In this case, we have 4 different amps that we can choose from. On the top of the amp, there is a power amp select, which allows you to choose from those 4 different power amp circuits. Now, every amp has a preamp, power amp, and speaker. The power amp is the part that powers the amp, obviously, but it also determines how the amp breaks up and saturates. What that all means is that you can actually feel the difference when you're playing between the different power amps. Each of the 4 circuits has a clean channel and a drive channel. We're able to choose between the EL34, which is a tube that's found in a lot of Marshall amps, the EL84, which is found in a lot of Vox amps, 6L6, which is found in Fender Deluxe, and 6V6, which is found in Fender Princeton. Because this is a digital amp, Boss was able to add in a lot of modern features. For example, there's built-in effects. So there's onboard delay and tremolo, both have tap tempo, and onboard reverb. There's also a power control knob, which allows you to run the amp at 80 watts, 40 watts, and half a watt. For a lot of tube amps, you need to get it at a certain level in order to get that desired push sound. And that volume is often way too loud for an apartment. This knob allows us to recreate those sounds at levels more appropriate for the apartment, but still be able to keep up with a band if we need to. On the back of the amp, there's a line out, recording out, and a USB out, and the USB out can be used in conjunction with Boss's free editing software, which unlocks infinite parameter tweakability. Alright, enough talking, let's get into the sounds. So Boss and Roland both use their tube logic technology in order to recreate and model those old tube amps. And when I first got this amp, I was really blown away because it felt and sounded so accurate to me. There are a couple settings and a couple ways you can dial it in where you can kind of tell that it's a model amp, it's a digital amp, but for the most part, it sounds really good. My opinion of this changed, however, when I brought it to practice. I put this amp right beside my Fender DeVille, played them back to back, and you can just tell the difference. Real tube amps have this mid-range push that you feel in your chest, and it's something I crave when I'm playing. And regardless of how I tweak this amp, I just wasn't able to recreate that. Again, that's not to say that this amp sounds bad, because it doesn't. It sounds really good. And when you're playing it on its own, or even just with a bass player and a drummer, it sounds really convincing. It's only really apparent when you put it right next to a real tube amp. Anderton's TV has a really great video, which I'll link below, and they go through the different power amps and play them against the power amps found in the real tube combos that this amp is modeling. Another thing, and this is kind of minor, I think the low end is really intense on this amp, so I have the knob fixed at basically 9 o'clock. And the last thing is, I'd really like to see a built-in tuner in this. It seems like such a simple thing that Boss could be doing, and a lot of other modeling amps have this feature. Obviously, when you're on stage, you're probably going to have a clip-on tuner or one on your board or something like that. But for home use, I have built-in effects on this amp. I don't need to bust out my board every time I'm playing. It would just be nice to have all of it in one. I believe it's Boss's goal with the Nextone series to create amps that are loaded with great tube sounds, is lightweight and more durable than your current tube amp, and is loaded with a bunch of modern features. And for the most part, I think they nailed it. All that said, am I racing out to replace my Fender DeVille with a Nextone? No. But if you're in the market for a new amp in this price range, I think the Nextone warrants your consideration. If you'd like a more in-depth review, I wrote an article for Canadian Musician Magazine, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Thanks so much. Bye.